Hi guys, today is September 1st and what we're going to talk about is section 1-4, which is solving absolute value equations. And hopefully by the end of the day you'll be able to solve absolute value equations by taking two cases. You'll see what that means in just a bit. So first, when we talk about evaluate, this word evaluate means that we're basically going to substitute or plug something in. So what we're plugging in this case is -7. And where are we plugging that in? For the letter n in this little expression here. So what that means, I'm going to take this n, and instead of writing n, I'm going to replace it with -7. Everything else is going to stay exactly the same. So I'm going to just write everything else. 8 minus the absolute value of 2 times -7. Notice I used parentheses, and you're going to want to make that a habit. Anytime you substitute or plug something in, you're going to want to use parentheses. It's good practice. What we're going to do from there is go ahead and evaluate this using our order of operations. These absolute value braces, they kind of act as parentheses. So what I'm going to do is do what's inside the absolute braces first. 2 times -7. I'm going to do multiplication before I add. So 2 times -7 would give me -14. -14. So everything else just comes along. So 8 minus the absolute value of -14 plus 5. So from there, I'm still going to work with what I have inside this absolute value. So -14 plus 5, that gives me -9. -9. And I have the absolute value braces, and I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it again. So let's think, what is the absolute value of -9? That's the distance from 0. Distance is positive, so I'm going to have a +9. But if I really think about it, this negative on the outside, I'm going to have to bring it down. So I have 8 minus 9, which would give me -1. So when we evaluate, we have to use those order of operations and take that process one step at a time. Moving forward, we're going to actually go ahead and solve some absolute value equations. When you watch that video, it should probably have given you kind of a hint of what we're about to do. The absolute value of x is equal to 9. So there's going to be two answers that could make this true. And in order to figure this out, we're going to make sure our absolute value is isolated on one side of the equal sign, and it is in this case. So what we're going to do is take two cases. Case 1 is what I call the positive case. And that means I take my absolute value, get rid of the braces around it, and the number on the opposite side of the equal sign, I just write it as a positive number. For case 2, I call that the negative case. What I do, again, get rid of the absolute value braces and set it equal to -9 this time. Now, if you want to check, there's not really any other work to do because we have solved. X is equal to a variable. The variable is equal to a number. So I'm going to plug in 9. Does the absolute value of 9 equal 9? Yes. The absolute value of -9 equal 9? Yes. So we are finished with that one. So whenever we move to letter B, remember what we have to do is absolutely isolate the absolute value braces before we start. In order to isolate, I need to move this 3. To move it, I do the inverse operation, which is subtraction. So the absolute value of x equals 6. My absolute value is isolated, so I can take my two cases. Case 1, the positive case. I'm going to say get rid of the absolute value braces and equal it to +6. Case 2, my negative case. I'm going to get rid of the braces and say x equals -6. I could plug them in and see if they work. The absolute value of 6 is 6, plus 3 is 9. The absolute value of -6 is 6, plus 3 is still 9. Let's look at this one. Again, the absolute value braces are already isolated here, so let's see how this works out. For case 1, my positive case, I'm going to get rid of the braces, just as I have before. X plus 2 equals to what? +6, because this is my positive case. Solve it. So I get x equals 4. For case 2, which is my negative case, I'm going to say x plus 2 is equal to what? -6. And then I'm going to solve it. So -2, and I get x equals -8. If you're like, whoa, that's weird, plug it in. 4 plus 2 is 6. The absolute value of 6 is 6. -8 plus 2 is -6. The absolute value of -6 is what? 6. Absolute value, most of the time, gives you 2 answers there. So let's go ahead and move on and try something. These are very similar to the ones we've already done. Notice they're already isolated. So I'm going to start with my 2 cases. Case 1, positive case. Get rid of the braces and set it equal to +9. Case 2, my negative case. Get rid of the braces and set it equal to -9. Solve them both by doing the inverse operation. The inverse of adding 12 is subtracting 12. So I get x equals -3. And I'll get x equals -21. Again, you can plug it in to check if you want to make sure that those answers are correct. Last one, why don't you pause the video and take a second to try to solve this one. What I'm going to do is notice, again, case 1 and case 2. Case 1 is positive, case 2 is negative. For case 1, get rid of those braces, set it equal to +2. For case 2, get rid of the braces and set it equal to -2. Solve them both by adding 4 to both sides, because the opposite or the inverse of subtracting 4 is to add 4. So I get 6. And I get 2. Plug them in. Check and see if they're if you think they're correct. This is the last one we're going to do, and this one is kind of special in a certain way. So look at it, and when I look at this, I say, hey, there's a little bit more work here. And by that, I would say, okay, I need to always isolate my absolute value before I can take my 2 cases. So let's start by subtracting this 8 on both sides. So I have the absolute value of 3x minus 2 is equal to -7. If you remember what happened in the video, can absolute value of something be equal to a negative number? No, it's not possible. Therefore, what happens in a case like this, if my absolute value is isolated, but once it's isolated, it's equal to a negative number, that's what we would call no solution. I know it's crazy, but there's no way to answer this question. This 0 with a slash through it, it means no solution. So you could either write the words no solution, or you can try out this symbol. It's pretty handy. 0 with a slash is no solution. So there's no way to work this problem out. If this were +7, then we would start with taking our 2 cases and continue. So just be careful that you're noticing that negative, because I don't want you to do the extra work and you don't have to. This problem's done. Y'all have a good day.